Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at something really specific, a document.
Sounds dry, but it's not.
No, it really isn't. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of how a massive, complex industrial project gets built. We're talking about the rules.
The non-negotiable constitution, really. Employer requirement, E2.5, construction management.
Exactly. This is the detailed rule book.
And this is where, projects either succeed or fail catastrophically. The whole point of a document like this is for the employer to guarantee quality.
And integration, right?
Deep integration across every single discipline. And, crucially, to mitigate risk from the absolute earliest stages. Our mission today is to uncover the surprising level of detail they demand to get that confidence.
Okay, let's unpack it. We've got a clear roadmap here. We're starting with the foundational planning document, the CEP.
The master blueprint.
Then we'll get into how engineering and construction are forced to integrate. Then site execution, some really specialized quality checks, and finally,
the external stuff, ecology and even social media protocols.
Let's jump right in. The Construction Execution Plan, or CEP. You called it the master blueprint.
It truly is. The contractor has to prepare and submit this huge detailed plan within just 4 weeks of the start date.
4 weeks, that's nothing.
It's an insight in itself, right?
Yeah.
It shows the employer needs immediate confidence that the contractor has a viable path forward. It's all about how they're going to execute the entire scope.
I was just staggered by how comprehensive it has to be. It's not a high-level outline. It plans for the start, the middle, and the end, all in those first few weeks.
That holistic view is absolutely key. I mean, look at the specifics. For the start, they want a detailed construction strategy covering things like modularization.
The prefabrication stuff.
Exactly. How are you going to build big chunks of this thing off-site to speed things up and control the quality?
And what about managing their own teams? I saw something in there about self-performed work.
Yes. If the main contractor is using its own people alongside subcontractors, there has to be a crystal clear segregation of duties. It's all about heading off those classic problems with blurred lines and, accountability gaps.
Right. And for the middle of the project, where all the complexity hits,
you have mandatory plans for construction risk management and construction interface management. This isn't just about hard hats and safety vests. It's about spotting and fixing conflicts between the design team, procurement, the vendors, the schedule. It's risk management on a systems level.
It's like building a fortress against future excuses. And quality control is baked right in from the start, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The CEP has to include detailed plans for inspection and testing ITPs, NDE, hydro testing. But the most critical part is defining the employer's critical hold and witness points.
Okay, wait a minute. A critical hold point. What exactly does that mean? Why is that such a big deal?
Think of it as the employer holding a red card. It's a specific moment, say, right before a critical concrete pour, where the contractor must physically stop all related work. They cannot proceed until the employer's own representative is physically present and signs off.
And if they don't wait?
The work is invalid, they have to tear it out and do it again. It's a zero-tolerance standard for the most fundamental quality steps.
That raises the stakes for coordination a lot. And you mentioned the CEP also have to plan for the end. Why demand a preservation plan so early?
Because if you wait, you risk massive capital loss. You have this incredibly expensive equipment, turbines, pumps, complex valves arriving on site.
Right.
And it has to be protected from weather, from dirt, from corrosion, while it's just sitting there waiting to be installed. So the CEP must include the preservation plan. It forces a design for preservation mindset from day one.
So you're not just scrambling to throw a tarp over a $10 million piece of kit at the last minute.
Exactly that.
That level of detail really confirms that the planning phase is, well, it's execution on paper.
Right.
But for that plan to be realistic, you need that deep integration we talked about.
Which brings us to involving construction personnel during the engineering phase.
Yeah, this is key.
This is where you shift from reactive to proactive. The contractor has to have a dedicated construction planning group, led by the construction manager, working inside the engineering office.
Wait, hold on. You're putting construction teams inside the highly controlled environment of the engineering office. Doesn't that just slow things down or confuse the engineers?
It's a calculated risk. or rather a cost-benefit analysis. The cost of a late-stage design change, because something is physically impossible to build or needs a crane you can't get,
Is astronomical.
it far outweighs the, let's say, short-term inconvenience of having that construction input early. Their job is to advise on constructability, to make sure the design is actually optimized for efficiency and safety in the real world.
So they're looking at lifting studies, how the rows are designed to handle massive trucks, making sure the whole thing can be commissioned in phases.
Precisely. And that whole process is formalized. It's not just a good idea, it's a mandated constructability program.
A systematic approach to injecting that real-world knowledge into planning, engineering, and procurement.
And it has to start early in the engineering office to get the maximum benefit.
It sounds like they're trying to avoid that chaos you get in a home renovation where the builder keeps saying, we can't put the sink there after the foundation is already poured.
Perfect analogy. And the requirements here are really demanding. The program has to use lessons learned from past projects, and, this is critical, it must use the Construction Industry Institute's constructability guidelines.
Now that is an insight. They're not just saying have a plan. They're mandating adherence to a globally recognized best practice.
It's a huge statement about the quality they expect. And it goes further. They demand participation from subcontractors and the OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers.
So the people who will actually weld the pipe or install the turbine get a say in how it's designed to be installed.
What's the idea?
Okay, so once that planning and integration is solid, let's shift from the office to the field. Site organization.
This is all about accountability and control. You need a construction manager at the main site, and if you have off-site fabrication, you need dedicated managers at those yards too.
No ambiguity.
None. And they want an org chart that goes right down to the supervisor level. For the contractor and all the subcontractors, no fuzzy middle ground.
And then there's that fascinating detail about language.
Yes. All key personnel must be fluent in written and spoken English. That's pretty standard.
Right.
But because of where this project is, anyone dealing with local authorities or stakeholders must also be fluent in spoken and written Dutch.
I find that incredible. That's not just an HR detail. That's a huge logistical hurdle that shows you how seriously they take local engagement. If your safety manager can't talk to the local inspector, the whole job stops.
Exactly. And the contractor is on the hook for all of it. Training, recertification, any competency gaps are their problem to solve and pay for.
All right, so the people are organized. Now, what about the stuff, literally tons of expensive materials? How do they tackle plant and materials management?
The key word is traceability. Absolute control and traceability through the entire construction life cycle. This is where billions of dollars are just sitting on site. Every single piece needs to be accounted for.
And this includes the materials the contractor buys, but also the free issue stuff, right? The items the employer supplies directly.
They absolutely must. The control plan means the contractor takes full ownership of that free issue material the second it arrives, even though they didn't buy it.
So if it gets lost or damaged?
It's the contractor's responsibility. They can't turn around and blame the owner.
It sounds like the employer doesn't trust them to track this with a clipboard and a spreadsheet.
Not at all. It's becoming mandatory on these mega projects. The requirement is explicit, a computerized procurement and tracking system. It has to trap and report on the delivery of everything, documentation, parts, materials from every vendor and subcontractor.
That digital audit trail is non-negotiable.
It just eliminates so many potential disputes.
Which sets the stage for flawless execution. This brings us to the core quality mandate.
Right. So if the CEP is the blueprint, then the work method statement, the WMS, is the engine that drives quality on the ground.
And you need a WMS for everything.
For all construction activities, especially the high-risk ones. And this isn't just a safety checklist.
It's more than that.
It connects execution, safety, and quality in one package. Every WMS is reviewed by the employer and has to be linked to a matching job hazard analysis and an inspection and test plan.
It's about standardizing the workflow.
Completely. Specifying the competency, the tools, the HSE controls, the emergency plan. It makes sure that dangerous work-heavy lifts, pneumatic testing, work in a marine environment is planned and approved before anyone picks up a tool.
Speaking of specialized work, let's talk about underground works. The document says these have to be scheduled for early completion. Why is that so critical?
Because everything above ground, the structures, the heavy equipment, depends on the accuracy and stability of what's underneath.
The foundation.
The foundations, pipes, cables, everything. The underground work plan requires 3D modeling of all of it, But the real linchpin here is the requirement for the timely freezing of the utility design.
Freezing the design, so stopping scope creep once you start digging.
Exactly that. If you don't freeze it, you get constant changes to pipe routes, which means rework, delays, conflict. By mandating a freeze, you stop the chaos of digging up fresh concrete because an engineer moved a cable trench.
Okay, then there's the detail around pressure testing. I found this part fascinating. They break systems into test packages.
And manage them through a system completion management system, or SCMS. But there's this one detail about minimizing handling that is pure risk mitigation.
Right.
So during construction, to pressure test a system, you often have to remove or drop critical items. Valves, safety devices, inline instruments.
Okay.
To prevent damage or contamination, the document states that those items that are dropped for testing shall not be reinstated at the end of construction.
Wait, so they just throw them away?
Not thrown away, but they install new, clean, factory-certified items during the final commissioning phase. The ones that were handled and stored during construction testing are set aside or sent back for recertification.
So you're minimizing any chance of a compromised part going into the final system.
Exactly. It's a massive operational mandate designed to prevent a failure during startup.
That is just phenomenal rigor. And to wrap up quality, the employer lists 3 non-negotiables for startup: cleanliness, tightness, and preservation.
And each one requires its own detailed plan. A cleanliness plan to make sure systems are free of debris, a tightness plan to verify they're leak-free, and the works preservation plan to protect equipment during shipping, transport, and on-site storage. These are the final quality gates.
That's the internal control. But what about the outside world? Let's look at how they manage external risks, specifically ecology and the social media.
Section 7, Ecology Risks, is high-stakes management. The contractor has to have approved mitigation plans because failure here doesn't just mean fines, it can mean a complete project shutdown.
And what kind of specific risks are we talking about?
Everything. From the birds' breeding season, which could literally limit when and where you can work on site,
What?
to detailed plans for dealing with protected vegetation that might need to be moved and stored, or protected animal species that require barriers. The contractor has to be in constant communication with the employer about all of it.
So it's not just a technical challenge anymore, it's an environmental and, I guess, a political one too.
It absolutely is. And finally, we have Section 8, the social media protocol.
This feels very modern. It's about controlling information leakage.
Precisely. The contractor prepares the protocol, and it has to be part of the onboarding for everyone. Agency staff, subcontractors, visitors. Everyone gets the briefing on day one.
And the rule itself is stark.
It is crystal clear. No photographs shall be taken and be posted to any form of social media. It is a complete, explicit ban.
And why? What's the thinking there?
What's fascinating is how seriously they view this risk. A photo of a component that seems harmless could be invaluable competitive intelligence for a rival, or it could reveal a security vulnerability. This rule treats project data as proprietary IP that has to be locked down, even from a phone camera.
So if we zoom back out, we've gone from the first 4-week plan to the final security rules. What does this mountain of detail tell us about managing these mega projects today?
I think the key insight is that success relies on absolute rigor. It's built on a foundational plan like the CEP, deep integration through things like the Constructability Program, and mandated quality control with WMS, cleanliness, and tightness plans. The entire structure is designed to kill risk before it becomes a real problem.
So the takeaway for you listening to this is that the true cost of inefficiency is calculated in the details you miss early on. These requirements essentially force you to build the project 3 times.
First on paper with the CEP, second in digital models with the 3D designs and constructability reviews.
And only then, finally, on the ground.
It confirms that construction management today isn't just about moving dirt and steel. It is a highly disciplined, bureaucratic, and scientific process.
Which leaves us with one final provocative thought for you to consider. Given that extremely strict ban on all photography and social media posting, what does that level of information control imply about the value of data and confidentiality on modern mega projects? What other industries rely on similar no social media rules, and why do they see a simple photo as such a massive security risk? Something to chew on.
If you're interested in the templates, please visit our shop. The link is in the description.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and see next time.